No one in the village liked to talk about the forest at night. During the day, children fetched firewood there, and hunters set traps. But when the sun went down, even the bravest men avoided that path. They said the forest was not empty. They said something lived there. Something that listened. It started when the dogs began to cry at midnight. Not barking, crying. Long, painful sounds that made people sit up in their beds. Then suddenly, the dogs went silent. By morning, 3 were missing. No blood, no tracks. Just gone. The elders said it was a warning. They poured libation and told everyone to stay indoors after sunset. But some people never listen until it is too late. That same week, a young boy named Kofi went into the forest chasing a goat. He never came back. They searched for him until nightfall. They found his slippers by the river, neatly placed side by side. But there were no footprints leading away, only deep marks in the soil, like something heavy had been dragged, and strange symbols carved into a tree. That night, his mother heard knocking on her door. 3 slow knocks. When she opened it, no one was there. But from the darkness, she heard Kofi's voice calling, "Mama, open the door." She froze, because Kofi had a scar on his throat that made his voice rough. But this voice was smooth, perfect, and whatever was calling her knew his voice, but not his pain. The elders said never answer voices at night. Never open doors when the dead are speaking. They said the forest spirit was now hungry, and once it tastes a child, it will return for more. 2 nights later, a woman disappeared while bathing by the stream. Her bucket was found floating, her wrapper folded on a rock, and deep in the water, bubbles kept rising long after the river was still. People stopped sleeping. Every sound became a threat. Wind in the trees sounded like footsteps. Owls sounded like laughter. And sometimes they heard breathing outside their windows. Then the dreams started. Many villagers dreamed of the same place, a tall tree in the middle of the forest, and beneath it, something buried, still moving. One man decided to face it. He took a machete, a lantern, and protective charms. He entered the forest just before midnight. No one followed him. No one ever saw him again. But the next morning, his lantern was found at the village gate, still burning, and written in ash on the glass were 3 words, "It has seen you." After the message at the gate, fear took over the village. Parents kept their children locked inside. No drums were beaten. No fires burned at night. Even the crickets seemed to stop singing. It was like the whole land was holding its breath. Then people began to fall sick. Not normal sickness. They would wake up gasping for air, screaming that something was sitting on their chest. By morning, their bodies were cold and stiff, but there were no wounds, no poison, just empty eyes. The priestess said the forest spirit had crossed into the village, that it no longer needed the trees to move. She said it was feeding on fear now, and fear was everywhere. That night, the chief heard footsteps inside his own house, slow, wet, dragging sounds. He reached for his lamp, but before he could light it, a voice whispered in his ear, "You cannot hide from what you invited." By morning, the chief was dead in his chair, his eyes wide open, staring at nothing. On the wall behind him were claw marks, deep and long. No animal in the forest could make such cuts. Now people knew this was no ordinary spirit. This was something ancient, something that had been sleeping for generations. And someone had woken it up. The elders gathered and remembered an old story. Long ago, the village had sealed something under the sacred tree. A creature that wore human faces and fed on voices. They trapped it with blood and fire and buried it alive. But years passed. New people were born. Old people died. And the warning was forgotten, until someone cut the sacred tree for firewood. That man had sold the wood in the market. People cooked with it, slept near it, and slowly, the seal was broken. The priestess said only one thing could stop it now: the blood of the one who freed it. But the man had already disappeared into the forest days earlier. That same night, children began sleepwalking. They walked toward the forest like they were being called. Parents chased them, screaming their names, but some children vanished into the darkness before they could be caught. Inside the forest, something was growing. With every victim, it became stronger, its body forming, its mouth learning how to smile. Hunters who went to search found bones arranged in circles, skulls stacked like trophies, and in the center, a shape that moved when they blinked. At sunrise, the village thought the danger had passed. Birds returned. Smoke rose from cooking fires. People believed the spirit had gone back into the forest. They were wrong. A woman came running from the bush, screaming for help. She said she had escaped from something inside the forest. People rushed to her and carried her into the village, but no one noticed. She had no shadow. That night, 3 families disappeared. Not killed, not attacked, just gone. Houses empty, food still on the fire, and footprints leading straight back to the forest. The priestess said the creature was now using human bodies, wearing their skin, learning how to talk, learning how to trick. She warned the village, "Do not trust anyone who comes from the forest, not even your own blood." Fear turned neighbors into enemies. People started accusing each other. Brothers fought brothers. Wives slept with knives under their pillows. No one felt safe anymore. Then the drums started beating by themselves at midnight, slow, heavy, like a funeral march. But when people ran to the square, no one was there. Only wet footprints around the drums. Children began speaking in voices that were not theirs. They said things they could not know. They described deaths before they happened. Parents cried, but could not stop it. The priestess prepared the final ritual. It required fire, blood, and silence. No screaming, no running, no lies, or the spirit would never leave. But someone betrayed the ritual. They wanted to save a loved one who had already been taken. They followed the voice, calling them from the forest, and they were never seen again. That betrayal gave the creature full strength. That night, it walked openly into the village, standing tall, smiling, looking just like a man. It spoke kindly, promised safety, promised to stop the deaths. Some people believed it, others ran. Those who followed it into the forest were never heard from again. Those who stayed behind were hunted one by one. There was no safe choice anymore. The priestess made a final decision. She would seal the spirit using her own life, because only living blood could lock it away forever. She walked into the forest alone at dawn. People heard screaming, then silence, and then nothing moved again. Days passed. No more deaths, no more voices. The forest was quiet again. People believed it was over. Years later, children played near the old sacred tree. A new tree had grown where the old one once stood. They heard knocking from under the roots. One child whispered, "Someone is calling my name," and the ground began to crack. Because some evils do not die, they only wait for someone else to set them free.